Story time about my friend who had cancer, and I was doing Reiki before I knew I was doing Reiki. So I had been maybe 2 to 3 years out of massage school, and they teach you a lot, like a lot of different modalities, so that when you get out on your own, you could kind of have like some uh, areas of interest that you could get into to get certified in. And one of the things was Reiki. And what I remembered or knew about it at the time was just holding your hands over the body and setting an intention type thing. So, very basic. I'm sure my teacher had expressed a lot more, but that's all I can remember because that was like 20 years ago when I went to massage school. And so, hold your hands over the body, set an intention, and you kind of just like move move and caress the energy, kind of almost like they have like a bubble around their body. So I thought about trying this technique for the first time ever on my friend Melissa. My name's Melissa, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer and cancer of the breast, both. And she was 29 years old, very young, and she just got out of surgery to have the mass removed and do all of the reconstructive work. Started her chemo at the very, very, very beginning stages of all that. And she wanted a massage. I think this was like on her feet and legs area, just get some circulation going. I mean, when you're going through chemo, just and this mental stress of everything, like your body is so like, just tense. So I remember sitting down on the floor. She was sitting on the couch. I'm massaging up her calves and going down into her feet, calves again, going down into her feet. And then I mentally was like kind of just imagining that I was like grabbing from like just under the knee. And I just went like kind of like yank out whatever that caca feeling that she had. And at the time she was kind of like slouched over, just relaxing into the massage. And when I had done that, I didn't make any like noises. I was just, you know, doing my thing. And she perks up and she's like, whoa. I felt like it just like pulled something like up my thigh and down through my feet. And I was like, oh, let me try that again. So I went higher up, just above the knee, and pulled from just above the knee. At like, I'm actually touching her while I set this intention, and wiped it out again. And she was like, whoa, that went up to my hip. And I was like, this is interesting. So I'm like, all right, let me go higher up the leg, mid thigh, high thigh, massage, massage. And I grab and I pull the energy from there. And she felt it she felt like something was being pulled from further up in her body. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna try that on the other side and let me know if you still feel it. And so we did it again. She was feeling it. I thought this was cool. So I just kept trying it. And it had to have been maybe 2 years later when I actually ran into somebody who was practicing Reiki, taught Reiki. And that's when I really got into learning about Reiki, because before then, that time period was very transient time for me. I was kind of essentially homeless. I had a place to stay, but I did not have a place of my own. So I was like hopping from couch to couch. I had a car, and then I didn't have a car, and then I had to move in. It was a mess. That was a messy time for me. Anyways, so this was my first experience of uh, doing Reiki before I even knew I was doing Reiki. And there was another special time that I remember before I actually learned about Reiki was when I had a client when I was working for an acupuncture doctor. He was a police officer. He was under 30 years old and had already had a colostomy bag put in. He had gone through something traumatic of his own, and he wasn't sure why it happened. And I kind of asked him, I was like, well, have you gone through something, big recently? Like, did you lose somebody? And he's like, well, I had a big breakup with a girl I was in love with, like thinking about marrying her. And I was like, well, for sure, that makes sense, even though, hey, it's not like a health scare, but it's still, heartbreaking. He was very, attached to her. He was thinking about marrying her and they broke up. So I just kind of had a gut feeling to put my hands over his heart. Actually, I had one hand over his heart and I asked him to lift his back so I could put the other hand underneath. So his body weight was laying on the bottom hand and I had the other hand hovering over him. And I was crouched down so that I was almost like eye level. And I felt like I was like zooming energy with my eyes, like into like his heart. And I was just like setting this intention of like, bring this man joy, bring him life, bring him passion again. Because I felt so bad for his situation. He was a good looking man too. So I didn't want him to like lose hope on life, So I'm there for a couple minutes and then all of a sudden he bolts out laughing, just like uncontrollable laughter. And he's like, what did you do to me? And he's like, he just couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I don't know. I just putting good energy. And I don't know, it was a cool experience. And I was doing Reiki before I knew I was doing Reiki. Like I didn't actually I wasn't taught like this is how you do it. I just knew the basics. Set an intention, hold your hands over, clear your mind. So does anybody else have any fun Reiki before Reiki stories? I'm sure I have a few others, but those are just, two of the sweetest and dearest to my heart. And anyways, so subscribe, share, comment, do all of the fun things. And I appreciate you sticking around and listening to this video, listening to me chat. Talk to you soon.